Our social policy was on immigration in the U.S. And so to start off, I would like to give you the baseline definition of what immigration actually is. It's the action of coming to live permanently in another country and going from the low end to the high end based on the U.S. Department of Homeland and Security. We have the status. First is illegal immigrants who have come in across the border or they let their visas expire and now they're undocumented. And then next you have a temporary visitor, which is like your student, work, or tourism visa. And then next you have the lawful permanent residence. In order to obtain this criteria, or in other words known as your green card, you have to be 18 years older. You have to take a exam with over 100 questions on America's basic history and civics. You have to prove that you will not harm the area you're living in by maintaining there without any issues, any kind of crime reports, even something as simple as having like a noisy neighbor complaint or something to that degree, any kind of civil misjustice, and you will be denied your green card. You have to even go as far as to show a biochemistry. So you have to get your blood sent out and sent back in so they can have some idea where your lineage has come from for you to be accepted. And then fourth, you were just naturally born in the U.S. So then that leads us to the three main categories, which are family-based, economic-based, and humanitarian-based. Many immigrants flee for the U.S. because of the slogan that we kind of self-created, that American dream. You can find prosperity in America. Come, there's abundance, there's resources. A lot of other nations and countries don't have the same ideals that we do. Therefore, a lot of people run from religious persecution, social injustices, political persecution. There is escape of famine, crop failure, lack of land resources, lack of jobs, their families in trouble, or there's just several reasons why people decide to transfer out and flee to America. Next we have how immigration is being handled.
So we have the past policies, custom enforcement, ICE, and then the past presidential and family separation. So the first thing is, what is ICE? So ICE is the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement. In March 2003, the Homeland Security Act set into motion what would be the single largest government reorganization since the creation of the Department of Defense. One of the agencies in the new Department of Homeland Security was the Bureau of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, now known as ICE. Congress granted ICE a unique combination of civil and criminal authorities to better protect national security and public safety in answer to the tragic events on 9/11. Leveraging those authorities, ICE's primary mission is to promote homeland security and public safety through the criminal and civil enforcement of federal laws governing border control, customs, trade, and immigration. ICE now has more than 20,000 law enforcement and support personnel in more than 400 offices in the United States around the world. The agency has an annual budget of approximately $6 billion, primarily devoted to the three operational directives: Homeland Security Investigation, Enforcement, and Removal Operations, and the Office of Principal Legal Advisor. So what ICE does. So they have the immigration enforcement, which securing our national borders and safeguarding the integrity of our immigration system. Immigration enforcement is the largest single area of responsibility for the ERO, and it is a critical component of overall safety, security, and the well-being of our nation. combating transitional crime. As one of the country's premier federal law enforcement agencies, ICE is dedicated to detecting and dismantling transitional criminal networks that target American people and threaten our industries, organizations, and financial systems. And then preventing terrorism. With a workforce numbering in approximately 20,000, ICE stands at the forefront of our nation's efforts to strengthen border security and prevent the illegal movement of people, goods, and funds into, within, and out of the United States. So, immigration laws is the next topic. The Immigration and Nationality Act, or INA, was created in 1952. Immigration to the United States requires the individual to submit a number of detailed applications to the federal government and many different tests and procedures that go through. It's a very long process. So, since it was created so long ago, there have been amendments to the INA, but it's still the basic guideline. And while looking through the very long document, I also researched the problems with immigration laws. So, there was a list of about 50, but I picked the top 3 that were like most interesting to me. So, children of temporary workers grow up here, wait in line with their parents for permanent residency, and then get kicked out of line when they're 21. So, the law stipulates that to receive status as a child of a new immigrant, they must be under the age of 21. Because of the long wait times, this means that immigrants can enter the country as a minor, children of a temporary worker, and an employer spouser to their parent, and they can wait in line with their parents for 5 or 10 years, but as soon as they turn 21, they age out, meaning that their application for permanent residency essentially disappears. The second one was the president can ban any immigrants that he doesn't like. In 1952, Congress passed a statute that authorizes the president to suspend the entry of all aliens or any class of aliens if he finds them to be detrimental. This power is untethered by any constraints, and as the travel ban case proves, the Supreme Court is willing to allow the president to ban immigrants based on the thinnest pretenses. And then the third one, immigrants generally cannot apply for permanent residency on their own. U.S. immigration law has no mechanism for immigrants without a sponsorship by an employer or family member. Unlike Canada, the United States has no points pathway to permit residence that would allow immigrants to apply based on characteristics, years in the United States, English language ability, or etc., without needing to wait for someone to do so for them. This deficiency results in immigrants being totally unable to control their own destinies, and particularly for immigrant workers, it requires them to rely on their employers, which have no incentives to apply on their behalf if the immigrant already has a temporary status that can be extended. Further complicating matters, immigration regulations change often, making it difficult for anyone without formal training to stay current on the law, even among attorneys. Immigration is considered a specialized practice area not suited for general practitioners.
Next, we'd like to talk to you about the way they handle border control, and it's most commonly done through family separation. During the time that America's been around, it has become an increasing issue, and here's how the last 3 presidents and their administrations have handled it. During the Bush era, the Department of Homeland Security found and tried parents and deported them only when they were